Listeners be advised. The Soliloquy podcast discuss matters related to the human experience and many that are sexual in nature. Due to this, some conversations may surround triggering topics such as sexual violence, self-harm, abuse, and much more. Please be advised, a list of crisis and psychological resources will be available in the show notes of this episode. With that said, let's get started with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
In the event that there is a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Breathe normally as oxygen is flowing even if the mask is not inflated. Be sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. This is your favorite host, Vernon T. Scott, also known as Slaytor Jackson, and for those freaky motherfuckers, also known as Sebastian Adams. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about preferences, and to have that conversation, I have a friend of mine, Quitman, whose name I just realized I've been saying wrong for the longest, but I'm a horrible person. I'm a horrible friend, but it's okay. I'm working on me. That's all that matters. So, Quitman, do you mind telling the audience about who you are, what you do, and just everything that's about you so they can welcome you into this wonderful podcast family?
Hi, everybody. My name is Quitman Alexander. Who am I? I'm everything.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm everything. But to sum it up, I am Macon's premier fashion designer, hairstylist, makeup artist, all the above, and I sing a little. I'm just an all-around entertainer.
In a beautiful spirit, like. Not that this mofo is smiling. Y'all, he does have a beautiful smile. So, we love to see it. We love to make sure everyone's happy so they can all smile. So, welcome. And as I mentioned, today we are going to be let's not gloss over one thing. The premier making fashion designer, y'all. Like, look at this mofo's dresses, because good God, the outfits, everything this mofo puts his hands to is just looking gorgeous. That's all I can say. Like, this mofo is working on something right now, and the piece is looking fabulous. And I'm glad I get to look into it right now. And it's just, y'all, if you out here trying to get some couture, you trying to get your prom dress, or are you out here trying to go to an adult prom and make these motherfuckers be ashamed that they're in your presence because they did not come ready, reach out to your boy. He got you. You. Huh?
Do the kids still say period?
Yeah, we can still say period. Period has been around before they said period. So it's all good. So, like I mentioned, we are going to be talking about preferences. And in our discussion, developing this episode, Whitney, you mentioned something about how your preferences has changed from what you typically deemed as what you preferred. So, what were your previous preferences before you had any kind of change?
So, I think my preference was everyone's preference when it boils down to it. Like, I think honestly, like, I was seeking someone that was, maybe a little more masculine than myself, just in general, just a manlier man, tall, dark, and handsome, like, nice smile. That was originally what my preference was. And not just because, society told me that's what my preference was supposed to be, but just that was like the main thing that I was attracted to.
And I like that you said it was not because what society told you to have as a preference, because there's a lot of people who live their life based off of what society deems beautiful. And it amazes me that there's a lot of people who either remove themselves from the beauty that is of other people just because they're afraid of what other people think. Like, in a way, it's childish, but I also kind of get it. But it's like, why does other people's why does other people's view of your relationship even matter at the end of the day?
As long as we look good in pictures together and we're happy, that's all that matters to me.
I'm with you there. So what are your preferences like today? Like what's changed other than tall, dark, and handsome?
Listen, my preferences are all over the map. I just prefer someone who is authentically themselves. However, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right.
What you mean?
I don't know, like you ever come across someone that you could tell they were like in the beginning stages of self-discovery and they weren't themselves yet? Like I
I
prefer,
mhm.
meet someone that's themselves.
I have to admit, I have met some people where I just knew that they are still growing on something. They're not there yet. And it's like, I'd rather step away from that to see what you become. And if we come back in the same circle, it might be the right time then. So I've definitely experienced things like that. It's like, I will say, even with that, I think about the concept of falling for somebody's potential.
Oh,
Uh,
I do it all the time. Like I've had to stop myself from doing that.
so is that something that happened recently that you fell for somebody's potential, or it's just you've done it a couple times and you just like you recognize the signs?
I've definitely recognized the signs, like the call is coming from inside the house at this point. But
So what?
when you meet someone for the first time, you're just like imagining different scenarios, like how things could be. And sometimes it's good, but like we have to step away from just assuming that someone can be something that they're not.
Mm, that's real. Like the issue with falling for somebody's potential that I always that even speaks to myself is that you really do create a whole nother character for that person, and you don't give them the opportunity to just be them because you're so busy living in the future of what things could be rather than what things really are. And I feel like for those who are focusing on that potential, they get to a point where they just don't ever see the partner that they're with. And in a way, I kind of feel bad for that same person. It's like, you're with me every single day, or we're communicating every single day, but regardless of how much you try to be there for me emotionally, be there for me physically, you just will never see me because you don't want to recognize me for who I am right now.
Right. And that has happened to me before too, because people assume that because I am a creative, success looks a certain way for me.
Mm-hmm.
And people are always saying, well, when are you going to move out of Macon? When are you going to do this? And it's just like, before I would get that question, not a lot of people knew it, but I took care of my dad. So before he passed, like I was just his primary caregiver and I was doing my own thing like on the side. But, I was like living with my dad and we lived together. So there was a lot of things that I just couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
But people would assume that, oh, you're not doing it because, you're afraid of success or whatever. But yeah, hate that.
Mm. And that's the thing that even within my time as, success coach and all this other stuff like coaching and whatnot is helping people find their own definition of success. Because the one thing I really hated was that grind mentality that you have to be running yourself ragged just to be successful. And I like my mental health. I like being together. I like having time to breathe. I like waking up in the morning and not being ready to grind. I don't want to grind the first hour in the morning. No, I'm still trying to wake the fuck up. Like, why rise and grind? Hmm?
It's like, can we rise and shine first? Dang.
Ain't it? Like, what is your own personal definition of success? And what does your success look like to you?
Success for me is doing what I love to do when I want to do it and how I want to do it.
Mm,
Like that's success. Like knowing you can do something and doing it the way you wanted it to come out.
mm. That's a
Like that.
word. That is a fucking word. And I look at the people who have like billions of dollars and whatnot, and I'm not knocking their success or their success stories, but whenever I see that, I don't see myself wanting to be in that same path. I don't want to see myself in that same space. I want to be somewhere where I know I am enjoying the exact same things that made me that millionaire, that billionaire, or wherever the case may be financially. But I want to still be doing that same thing every single day. I don't want necessarily be the most well known. Okay, one, I do want to be a world renowned sex therapist. That's something completely different. But that doesn't mean that I want to be want to have that clientele that is like super rich. I still want to be working with people who don't have access to those kind of services because they deserve just as much as anybody else on this planet. So it's like, I don't know. It's just when I think about it, I don't want my success to be something where other people have to lack my access in a way.
Yeah, because what are these billionaires doing with their money? Like, what are they doing? I mean, and granted, we don't know what they're doing because
Mhm.
it's their money, but like, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, if I had a lot of money, I probably would make sure that the people closest to me were like, set up for success, and then I would just like enjoy it for the most part, you know?
Mhm. I feel like I would not even be in this country anymore. It's ghetto here.
The earth is ghetto. Come get me, aliens.
Look, my child, I should start singing that song that I saw on YouTube talking about the earth is ghetto. like, like, oh my God. So this is pretty much going back into the actual conversations and whatnot related to preferences. But one of the things is it's very prominent with other people, and that's the thing about vibes. And we talked about this some within our the intake meeting too. Drafting this up is the importance of vibes. But what types of vibes do you look for when it comes to somebody that you're planning on dating, becoming intimate with, or even a friendship? What kind of vibes do you be looking for? The Holiloquy podcast focuses on the variability of sexual expression. When it comes to sexual expression, we often depend on pornography to illustrate how one must perform sexually. For those who have not learned this by now, the stuff you see in porn is not real. Pornography provides a singular perspective of sexual expression that is not often the reality we see during our own sexual encounters. The Holiloquy podcast is a conversation that takes you outside of the compressed box of what many know about sex. Some of the topics we discuss includes kinks, condom usage, status disclosure, and past sexual experiences. The Holiloquy podcast steps out on sexual norms and recognizes that the norm is not the only normal. Subscribe today and join the conversation. But what types of vibes do you look for when it comes to somebody that you're planning on dating, becoming intimate with, or even a friendship? What kind of vibes do you be looking for?
Okay, so intimacy vibes is definitely someone that's going to make me feel safe in their presence.
Mm.
Safety is important. Sometimes I just want to feel like a petite white woman.
Not a petite white woman, but hey, if it makes you feel good, do it. Yes.
But then sometimes I wanna be Kevin Costner, Sometimes I want to be the big white man or the big black man.
Ooh, yeah, shake those tables. Yes.
But like the vibe, I just want to make sure that I'm in a safe space and that I'm also creating that same safe space.
Mm.
And definitely reciprocity is a vibe. Like if you can't reciprocate, then you can't afford to date.
Ooh, shit, that's a word right there. Ooh, somebody gonna hit that like, ooh, hold up now. Let me backtrack on some of my damn relationships. Have I been reciprocating? Have they been reciprocating? But that's legit. That's legit though. If you can't reciprocate, you shouldn't be dating. You shouldn't be out here getting into relationships with other people. Like I really can't personally, I cannot be in a relationship with someone who is focusing on just draining me on a regular basis. I just I like to feel energized. I like to feel loved. I don't like to have to give my all to somebody and it never be returned to me because why am I here? What am I supposed to be getting from this situation that we're in, this relationship that we're in if I don't ever get anything back? And for some they might think that's selfish thought, but sometimes you have to be selfish in relationships. Sometimes you have to focus on yourself. Sometimes you have to focus on your own needs because if your partner's not doing it for you, who else will?
Right, right. It's very important, and also it's important that the people know. The people know. It's important. Listen to this, people. Okay. If you can't afford, you can afford in other ways.
Mm,
So reciprocation doesn't always look like paying on a date. Reciprocation doesn't always look like buying a gift or doing something fancy. Reciprocation can be picking up the phone, you know, sending like a really quick text just saying, "Hey, have you eaten today? What did you eat? What are you going to eat? Are you okay? How are you feeling?"
mm.
And for some people, like they don't realize how important that is.
Yes. Like when you mentioned it doesn't look like, paying for a date, it brought back the concept. I was listening to another podcast. I forgot what I was listening to. What was the name of that podcast? Because I invited that guest, that host onto the show, which is crazy. Oh my God, was it Closed Door Conversations? I think that's who it was. But they were, and this is a concept that I hear from other people too. It's just that was the most recent thing that is triggering for me right now. But they were talking about how paying for the date and how I think it was the host, how she was mentioning how she likes for her man to, invite her out to these dinners and whatnot, and pay for the bills, and nothing against that, because do you, boo? I love that for you, but it's like there's a level of reciprocity that comes into that too, because if a person feels that I have to value their time, and that means like, okay, it's going to cost me money to spend time with you in terms of the date. I also want to make sure that my time is equally valued, because we're both here. We're both in this engagement. We're both communicating. We're both on this date. And if you only see the one-sided value within this relationship, there's going to be a point where you're going to be the vacuum of the relationship, the vampire, the draining entity within that relationship, because what are you giving back to that person? It doesn't, like you said, doesn't have to be something financial. Are you boosting that person's ego? Because if you're that person who loves a ego boost, look, I pay for your date and all this other our date and all this other stuff, and what you're going to bring to me is that ego boost that I've been needing and wanting in my life. Thank you so much. I'm going to make sure I continue to up and up and up our dating experiences, because that's how you're winning me over.
Right.
Mm-mm. So what are some of the things that you would say is just like a deal breaker for you when it comes to not necessarily preferences but just vibes?
Mm, hmm. I think the only vibe that I identify that I don't get jiggy with is like a one-upper. I
Hmm.
hate that.
Go
Like,
in detail. Go in detail. The tea.
listen, I hate when someone's like, when you're just like, oh, this is what I did today. And then the person is like, oh, you did that today? Well, I did this, and this. And then it's like, then you have to find what else you did. And then it's like, oh, you did that. I did that too. But I did it like yesterday, so I wouldn't have to do it today. Like, I hate that.
Making things, always making something to a competition kind of thing.
Mhm. But you know what's funny about that? Like at my regular job, I have to turn things into a competition if I want to get them done in a timely manner.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So, do you feel as though that the reason why you don't like a one upper is because it reminds you of your job?
maybe, maybe. I
Because
think that's
think
a
about
problem.
it. I know for myself, when it comes to people who I might date, I have my own parameters because I can't date someone who may remind me of work all the time. Because when I come home, I don't want to think about work. Like, most definitely with me transitioning into the mental health field, I don't want someone who is very dependent upon me. That's another reason why I can't do codependency, because I used to work in higher ed, work with students, and students have a whole bunch of needs. Like they have hella needs that either they just need somebody that they need to communicate with, or they need somebody to teach them how to communicate with others, or they just need. And as the adult in the situation and the professional in the situation, you have to be that person that provides. And because of that, I cannot really be in a relationship with anybody who's extremely needy, because it's always going to bring me back to those spaces of having to work with students. And I don't know. I just can't do that in my personal relationships. So maybe that's the reason why you cannot, you know, deal with that one upper within the confines of a relationship. Just a thought.
Yeah. And I've also never been in a relationship with a one-upper. And I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I think it will be very interesting to get into a little bit of this never have I ever bullshit that I love playing so much. So, are you motherfucking ready? Yes, let me find. Okay. All right. This is funny. Okay, so never have I ever had a sexual experience with someone of the opposite sex.
What counts?
It depends on what you count as sex. So every time people ask those kind of clarifying questions, I feel like there's something that needs to be answered. There's something that needs to be dug into. Because look, what you define as sex is what you define as sex. So what you've been out here doing?
Okay, so the only acts that I can think of that have been with the opposite sex were definitely non-consensual.
Oh,
Well, I don't think I should count those.
mm-mm, we
Yeah.
don't count those. No, consent has to be implied for sex. Not implied, but consent needs to be there. There needs to be actual consent for the sex. So yeah, those don't count. Um, I would say for myself, I have. I've been all over the damn gender spectrum. So for the most part, I've been all over the gender spectrum. So would you like another question?
Sure.
So let's go with we could do another never have I ever. So never have I ever joined the Mile High Club or had any sexual experience on a plane.
I've been on one flight.
You know, same here. I've only been on one flight, and that was to go to Chicago to see a best friend. And like, I might go on a lot more, but I don't think I will ever have sex in anybody's plane that's not a private jet.
I mean, hey, if we can't do it in the cabin, I don't want to do it at all.
Ooh, amen to that. Amen to fucking that. Because I just, it's like I get the exhibitionist side of things, but I've seen like just in the planes that I've been in. One, I'm a big dude, so I don't know how this is going to work out. Like, I need my space. I don't know, you're gonna need your space. It's too tight up in here, and then everybody can see us. I don't want people to know what the fuck is going on.
The flight would have to be a long flight or a red eye for people to just be not paying attention.
Right, right. Like, is everybody sleep? Okay, let's go back here. Well, but I will say, it is possible to get some finger action going on the plane, or some jerking off. So I can, that kind of mile high club. Okay, possibly depending on who I'm with, we can go ahead and get some shit popping off. But if you out here moaning and shit, we can't do.
So sexy, but like,
Anybody wants water? Do you want waters, peanuts? Anybody? We're handing out food. What's going on? Y'all hear that too?
right. It's low key like sexy to have someone that can't control themselves. Like,
I cannot. I'll just be like, it's time.
okay, but like, yes, all of it.
Like, I don't, I will be so, like, just imagine if you're on a flight and your partner has control of the Bluetooth vibrators and whatnot. You minding your business. Oh, you're at the safety zone. Well, you can use your phones and whatnot now, and next thing you know.
But I don't have anyone to use it on me, so like.
Oh, you say you have one?
No, I'm saying I would love to try it, but I don't have anyone to use it on me.
Well, look, so there's apps. If you got one of those and you have a way that people can log into your app, we can always advertise it in this episode. So whenever somebody looks at this episode, they just log into the app and just like, I wonder if he got it in. I would be so fucking pissed.
Dang, just imagine having to wear that like all day long.
Right? Oh, that's the torture of it all. Ooh.
And not knowing when it's coming is just like,
that's kind of sad. I will say one of the toys I have, it does come with an app. But shut up. I am not letting people have access to that damn toy.
why not? That's the whole point.
Look, like, oh, subscribe to the Soliloquy podcast so you can have control of Vernon's orgasms. We are not. Huh?
Just have like an orgasm special, like where we talk about orgasms and then just like give them like the special code, and then they have to like pay after that one time. Yeah.
That would be nice. I will actually do some shit like that. I'm not even gonna lie. Well, if y'all want to do something like that, let's get these subscriptions up to like 1,000. And once we do that, we'll have that special.
And sound off in the comments, everybody.
Look, rate, review. I need 1,000 subscriptions wherever you are. So if you're on Spotify and you got a good 1,000 friends, make sure all those friends follow. Make sure that they listen to a couple episodes. Make sure that they rate and review the podcast. And then if you are over here on Apple Music, you do the same thing. If you're on Podbean, you do that as well. Shoot, even if you're on what else am I on? iHeartRadio, you can find me there. I'm on just about all of the fucking networks, y'all. So wherever you listen to this podcast and you got some friends and you trying to be participate in this, look, you better make sure that they subscribe, rate, review, leave comments, share with their friends, because we can get some shit popping off. That's all I know.
Said it ain't the whole Soliloquy podcast for no reason.
Hey, man, you better let them know. So speaking of, would you like a sex question?
Sure.
So, what's the funniest or most outrageous sex story you've ever heard?
Ever heard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So I heard this story when I was in high school, and this girl was telling me how her and her boyfriend were together and they were participating in oral sex, and he thought that he was about to climax, and he actually had to use the bathroom, and and I
Ooh.
assumed that sis was not into water sports. Heterosexual, heteronormative couple, by the way.
Ah, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. I don't know if I even,
Imagine,
huh?
imagine that, like, oh my gosh, I'm about to, and then it's like he. Terrible.
That's traumatizing. Oh my, I could not. I will feel some type of way because I'm like, why is it so much? Oh my god, it smells like pee, Lord. Oh my god. And I don't think I even have a funny sex story, and and that's crazy. Like I've seen random shit that happens. Like I know, like there was this one time somebody was getting fingered on the bus on the way to school. This was like in high school, and I'm like, am I the only one that sees this shit is going on over here? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what I was talking about on the plane situation, like moaning. There was no moaning, but the head was twirling. And yeah, these kids, well,
Your,
this is back
your
then.
hip chakra was open. That's why you noticed.
Not the damn chops. But like, I was like, I'm a little bit uncomfortable. But I'm glad you are enjoying your little hand job under your jacket. At 6 a.m. in the morning. Like, it's too early for this shit. In the morning. What else? Child. Well, I have a personal funny story. I hooked up with someone and well, we were just chilling. The expectations were possibly to have sex, but it was a little ice cream thing. We were just eating ice cream and whatnot. And I'm like, we're just chilling. Everything's great, life is good. And then they kept hinting that they want to have sex. And I'm like, my thing is if you cannot straight up say that you want to have sex, you don't want to have sex. So it is what it is because I'm enjoying my company. So like it is what it is. But finally mustered up the courage to be like, okay, so do you want to hook up and have sex with her? I was like, cool, sure, let's go. Now, uh all up in the moments, oral and all this other stuff, and get to a point where I'm just like, hold up, I am not feeling my best. That's what I was like. You know what? Yeah, you got to go, and let's just go ahead and get you up out of here. And when I'm not lactose intolerant, but that ice cream did something. Like this is the first time I had ice cream in like 3 months. And I was just like, I just ran to the bathroom at that point. As soon as they got the house, I ran to the bathroom. I was like, thank God they left at the right time because it's going to be a whole mess up in this mofo. And not today, Lord. We're not doing that. Mm-mm, mm-mm. It was almost scat play. Let's I don't do that. I'm not comfortable enough with that.
Yeah, me neither. But I imagine at a point in a non-heteronormative relationship, or maybe even a heteronormative relationship, I imagine at a point, it has to be like a consensus of we're both comfortable with each other to where if anything does happen, it just happens and we're just gonna ignore it, right? Like, isn't that how love works?
No. Look, all I know is if we're having a moment and you are out here and then you find out that you got diarrhea, it's okay. Go ahead, do what you need to do. I just talk to you tomorrow because we're not fucking afterwards. We're this no. I still
That can't
love
even be
you.
comfortable.
Huh? I'm talking about even when comfortable. We can cuddle.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's it. That's it. Go ahead. Yeah, I know your stomach hurt. Go ahead. You want some Pepto? Mm-mm. But yeah. So I'm going to say that is pretty much the amazing episode. So, Quitman, do you have any last words, like words of advice, tips, tricks, anything that you want to share with the audience?
Um, like I said, I don't have a preference. If you are who you are when you wake up in the morning and you're that same person when you go to bed, you are a contender. I am single. Here's your chance. Gentlemen, gentlemen.
I'm so done. You better throw your hat out there. Be like, look, snatch a motherfucker up. I support. Um, but yeah, as mentioned previously, about these this orgasm party, we're going to do this, like get these likes and subscribe. So up to 1,000, y'all. 1,000. If you don't see 1,000 reviews on whatever platform you're on, then that means we're not near our goal. We're not near our goal. I don't care if Apple Music has 1,000. Wait, what you say?
Live stream on that podcast, by the way.
We are going to be live streaming it. We're going to be live streaming that. So you need to get that up. Whatever podcast listening app you're on, if you don't see that 1,000 reviews, then you didn't get the job done. You better make sure. On that note, thank you all so much for listening to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. Just in case no one else told you this today, you are beautiful. You are worthy of happiness and joy. You are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. May each day you live lead you towards abundance. With that said, love you all and see you next episode. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. You can subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting app and find us on the web at www.soliloquy.com. That's www.heauxliloquy.com. Share the podcast with your friends and join the conversation.